Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University, and Action Comics, issue number 1011. Let me, of course, start off with the previous episode that I did the review for Action Comics. I said something stupid, all right? What do you call it? I explained myself in the most recent issue of Superman, but I'm going to explain again. I said something really, really freaky stupid. I said that I was not going to buy the comic book anymore. That's not stupid. That's perfectly acceptable. But that instead I was going to read it at my comic book store, come home, and give the review. That would be pretty much unacceptable because it's no different than just stealing from DC. Even if my comic book store says it's okay, it's still kind of like stealing from DC, right? So yeah, no, that was not cool. And it's kind of encouraging the idea of downloading and things like that. Like, well, the comic book sucks, so I'm not going to pay for it, but I'm still going to read it. That's called stealing, and that's like you can try and argue it till you're blue in the face. All that's going to happen at the end of the day is you'll be blue in the face, and you'll still be a thief. And I am not a thief, so no. I chose to, whether I was going to read it or excuse me, whether I was going to review it or not, I was going to buy the next issue anyway. Yeah, so bang. Even if I don't pick up the next issue, which I might, just know that I was wrong. And I believe that there's a lot of people like to say, well, you're not a man if you don't bang, 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 and whatever people are going to say, the no true Scotsman argument or whatever. No. In my opinion, you're not a real man if you can't admit when you're wrong. And there's way too many problems in the world with people just not being able to say, listen, hold on. First off, let's start this off with, I was wrong, and let's build from there. That's the thing. It doesn't help to apologize. No, actually, it's not true. It's not true at all. It's those fake, bogus apologies. That's what gets you into trouble. All right, let's get into this comic book right now. We got Leviathan Rising, Part 5. Brian Michael Bendis is on script. Steve Epting is on art and the cover. Brad Anderson does the colors. Josh Reed does the letters. Francis Manipool does the variant cover. And of course, Mother Effin' Superman is created by Mother Effin' Jerry Siegel and Mother Effin' Joe Shuster. Okay, it just sounds stupid when I say the Mother Effin' for them. But it's not like saying, Effin' Jack Kirby or Jack Effin' Kirby. Anyway, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Okay, so I like in the very beginning how they got that image with the Wednesday schedule on my PDA or phone or whatever the hell it is with the low battery life. There's that one little post-it that, since it's covered, it partly says, your wife says she's a dog. I love that. I wonder what the whole message is, but I don't actually care at the same time. That was cool. We get a return of Kate Spencer, baby. Kate Spencer, one of, maybe was she like the 50th Manhunter? Anyway, you remember when all of a sudden the Manhunters were turned into it was like originally a Jack Kirby creation, right? And then all of a sudden they turned them into the space cops, that existed predating the, Green Lantern Corps. I thought that was, of course, cool and funny. But anyway, the original Manhunter, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And later on, here's this version. I think she was the only female version of the Manhunters. Anyway, they call her Manhunter Lady in here, which I think is just stupid. Wow, that is stupid. But regardless, it's good to see her again, and I hope that she'll be used well. Will she be used well? Got a comment on that later on. Yeah, this comic book was cool. Like, I started to actually kind of get into it a little bit up until the point where we're reminded about the whole Chaz thing. I just wanted to punch Jimmy Olsen right in his freaking feckled face. Yeah. There was a cool scene in here where Superman is looking for Lois, and he freaks out because he doesn't see her. All of a sudden, she comes up. And you're wondering, well, how come he wasn't able to see her? And then it goes back for a page, and you get to see why. And it's cool because then we see where the next person Tiger went after that. It was a cool little play on scenery. I really liked that. It was awesome. The art in this book, of course, freaking pretty damn cool. I dug it. There was one moment in here where the person fighting Manhunter Lady, Kate Spencer, she says, what do you call it? She's trying to arrest her, and then she gets her butt handed to her. She, of course, turns around and blames everybody else around her as opposed to herself. And for the sake of conversation, that is why she will continually fail over and over and over again. If we didn't want her to, she wouldn't be able to take any of us because she is constantly blaming other people. She is a failure in life. Congratulations. anyway, she there's this one part where the only part about the art that I can complain about is there's a part where she says a 5-letter pejorative at some point, and I'm wondering, like, is it supposed to be 5 letters, or is she trying to say, one of the 4-letter ones? Is she saying, the F word or shit? What's she trying to say? Because I couldn't tell by her face, was she being defiant, or was she surprised at what Manhunter lady was doing to her? So you realize later on by the way that she acts that she was actually calling her a bitch. It's okay, cool. But it would have been nice if I could have seen the defiance in her face as opposed to figuring it out after the fact. That's the one complaint I'm going to make about the art. After that, art was spectacular. I really liked it. Huntress's hair was really cool. There's a bunch of really cool moments in here with us being able to see that Spiral really is turning the world over on its heels. Leviathan, is turning the world over on its heels by bypassing all the other 3-letter or whatever organizations, and instead it's exposing Spiral for what it was and airing all of its dirty secrets. The Huntress was like, what the heck is happening? What's happening? It's going to be pretty interesting to see what fills the void. I know we'd like to believe that, and maybe Brian Michael Bendis himself believes that only Leviathan will be filling the void that Spiral left, and that all the other agencies will be leaving. But at the same time, it would be silly to think that they had that many boots on the ground to be able to do something like that. There will always be, like, it's just one thing that can be said about the black market is that it is probably the most capitalistic mentality as far as capitalism is concerned. That's not meant to be an insult either. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, that's, if socialism were to take over the world and, all the little freaking snowflakes were to freak out, somebody told me socialism is bad, I didn't realize it was only rich people who were telling me that. If socialism were to take over the world, any need that would need to be met would be done through this one capitalistic mentality, and that is the black market. That's just the way that things work. So probably the coolest part of capitalism is the black market mentality. So yes, there is absolutely no way that Leviathan could do this on its own. All that being said, I didn't really like this comic book as much as I wanted to. It was better than the previous issues of the Leviathan Rises thing. I still don't have a whole lot of hope for Leviathan Rises and the Rise of Leviathan, and I'm not getting much of a rise out of this comic book. I'm not particularly happy with Bendis's run on either book or his, Man of Steel. Like, I had more hope for what he was going to do as opposed to anything else. And I don't have it up yet, but I did have an interview with Jim Shooter over the weekend. More than that, I also covered one of his panels. And it was only in the panels. I didn't want to get personal, and bring up any individuals' names during the conversation, because I didn't want this to be a conversation where we're just talking trash about people. What do you call it? But Brian Michael Bendis was talking about how, certain writers are those it writers, and nobody can tell them no. Not only will there be no editor watching over them, which is the main thing that Jim Shooter is known for being, but there's nobody is interested in trying to edit what the writer does, what the writer wants to do. They're going to do what they want to do, and God damn it, nobody's going to tell them the slightest bit and otherwise. If they spell I see you as in look at the beautiful sea, you know what I'm saying? No editor is going to turn up and say, they might say, hey, do you know that you did that? If Brian Michael Bendis says shut up, that person's going to shut up, and the mistake is going to stay, because it's Brian Michael Bendis, and he's that it guy that nobody in DC, at least, apparently is going to tell him no. Now, do I know the inside workings of what's going on? No, I don't. But what I do know is that this is one of the things Jim Shooter said, and the only name that he mentioned, unabidden, without anybody asking for other names, even though other people asked for other names, and we were able to, stymie that because it's not cool. The only name that he gave of his own volition was Brian Michael Bendis. look into that however you want to. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to act like I got some behind the scenes information or anything like that. I'm relaying what one of the greats in the comic book world, of yore, at least, I guess not modern day, has said very recently, as in 2 days ago. So there's that. After that, I don't really know what else to say about it, man. There's a lot of things that I see wrong in the books, and I have been thinking to myself that maybe it's just he's doing what he wants to do and nobody's going to tell him no. I feel like Dan Didio, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I think that Dan Didio is so enamored with Bendis that he won't tell him no. But I don't know. I don't know any of those scenes. And this is just, I don't know any of the behind the scenes. But this is just something that was said. And it's weird having a great, someone who has proven success, say what I've been thinking. It's a weird thing. And quite literally with the most prolific name that was on my head of people who might, in fact, say something like that. So, again, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here for this, that, or the other thing. I'm simply here to give my opinion. And when push comes to shove, who the hell am I? Right? But that's how I feel about the comic book. That's how I feel about not just this issue, but even more so the other issues of the Superman Action Comics, anything Superman related, Man of Steel, that Bendis has been writing. I have not seen anything spectacular from Bendis. In hindsight, simply haven't seen anything spectacular out of him in DC so far. So, yeah, there's that. Anyway, I can't get excited over this book, even though this is the best book of the five issues that have come out in this story arc. I feel like everything that happened in this issue could have been everything that happened in all 5 issues. And we sure as hell could have done without the Chaz crap. Anyway, guys, it's like one person thought it was funny and another person laughed because they love who Bendis is. And all of a sudden it became a storyline. It's not behind the scenes. That's just me saying it, because that's what I think. Anyway, guys, I'm done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.